And we are going to wait a few more minutes to give everyone time to drop in. And if you just dropped in, please put in the chat where you are from and if you are a flight crew member or a catalyst. My name is Sheila, and I am the manager of Teen Science Cafe Network. So we are happy to have all of you here. We've got Katie, one of our resource guides for Teen Science Cafe. Thank you, everyone. I am going to, it's about 6:04. We've got people still dropping in. Put your name, and if you are a flight crew member, catalyst member, and where you are from. And while you are doing that, I am going to turn the mic over to our wonderful host of the evening, Talario Watkins. I like to call myself his internet auntie. I know his mom and dad and have literally watched him from 7 up until now just do amazing things. So I am excited that he is here and he is our host, and he will tell you a little bit more about himself and get us started. Hey, Talario, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the STEM Next Career Chat, Engineering Your Future. I'm Telerio, and I am so excited to be your host to this exclusive live event. This chat is designed to connect you with real-life professionals in some of today's most exciting STEM fields. Whether you're curious about technology, coding, space, or just building cool stuff, this event is for you. We're going to hear the real stories behind our panelists' careers, successes, the challenges, and the aha moments that got them where they are today. Most importantly, the floor will be open for you to ask your own questions. Before we get started, a little introduction about myself. Again, I'm Telerio Watkins. I am a 17-year-old mushroom farmer, and I'm also an urban farmer. I have a business, Tiger Mushroom Farms, and a nonprofit called the Garden Club Project. I started the business, Tiger Mushroom Farms, when I was 7 years old, and the Garden Club Project I started when I was 12 with a mission to help end childhood hunger and encourage kids to eat healthier. Now, I'd like to introduce. First, we have Mira Velasco. She is a printed wiring board designer at Qualcomm, where she recently began managing her first team. She also serves on the board of Q Women, supporting initiatives that empower women in tech. Born and raised in Mexico, Mira is a first-generation college graduate with a degree in aerospace engineering. She started her career designing machines and automation solutions to simplify processes before moving into electronics and technology. For Mira, STEM is not one size fits all. She believes representation matters deeply because the more voices and perspectives we have, the stronger our innovations become. STEM has no single shape or form, and she is passionate about showing students that everyone belongs in this field, regardless of background or identity. Outside of work, Mira trained in ballet for 25 years. She loves fashion and stays active through fitness. She hopes her journey shows that you can bring your whole self in the STEM and thrive. Our next panelist is Meredith Faber. Based in Houston, Texas, Meredith works at Aramco's upstream technical support division. She's a dedicated geoscientist, writer, editor, and self-starter who thrives in Aramco's fast-paced work environment. She has a bachelor's degree in English, another bachelor's degree in geology, and her PhD in geology, as well Outside of work, outside of the world of rocks, she has also worked as a paralegal and in theater as an improv trainer. Earlier this year, she was awarded the Mid Career Excellence Award from the Association for Women Geoscientists. Thank you all for joining us today and being willing to provide advice and answer questions from our teen attendees in real time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Talario. Happy to speak with everyone.
Thank you. So, to kick things off, I have a few questions for our panelists. I want to start by asking their personal journeys. This is a great chance to hear that there is no single right path to a cool career. So, can each of you tell us about a specific aha moment that led you to your current career path? Was there a particular project, class, or person that inspired you? We can start with Mira, please.
Well, I was a little bit scared of this question because I actually didn't have an aha moment, if you will. When I was in college, in high school, sorry, I remember my math teacher. I did administration, so very different from engineering. And I remember the teacher asked us, because we have to do the exam to apply in college and get into it. This is in Mexico, so I'm not sure how things work here, but the teacher started asking us, okay, he was a math teacher. Who's going to be a doctor? Okay, you go out. Who's going to be a veterinarian? Okay, you go out. And only the engineers stayed. So I said I was going to be an engineer. And he looked at me and he said, you don't look like an engineer. And I got mad. And I was like, well, I'm going to be an engineer. So I wish I had an aha moment. I didn't. I had a lot of people that didn't believe in me. And I want to prove them everyone wrong. And I did.
I agree. Okay, can we do Meredith?
Sure. So I was pretty blessed to grow up around geology. My dad's a geologist. But when I went to school, I was like, well, I don't really want to do science. I mean, dad was always driving us around in national parks and making us stop on the side of the road and look at rocks. And that sounds really boring. So I'm going to study English. And when I was at undergrad, I took a geology class. I took volcanology. And I learned that volcanoes are pretty cool. And then I took my next geology class and my next geology class. And by the time I had gotten to my junior year, the chair of the geology department was like, you have enough credits to be a geology major. So I decided that I would do dual degree and get English and geology and try and make that work as a career.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so next question. We already know what kind of credentials you guys have, so we're going to reiterate that for the rest of the people. What college majors, classes, or projects do you really think matter for someone interested in your field?
Well, I'm an aerospace engineer that turned into an electrical engineer, if you will. So basically, at PWB Designers, I design like a phone, all the connections, the camera, the USB, all of it. Actually, I'm working on a project right now for a Samsung that is going to come out on like 2028 or something like that. And that was not what I thought I was going to do. I actually failed circuits when I was in college. I thought this was not for me. I thought electricity is just something magic moves, and my brain couldn't comprehend it. I was lucky enough to have people that believe in me here at work and told me that if you have passion and you want to do things right, you can do that and you can accomplish whatever you want. So I will say, go with what you feel passionate about, something that you can wake up every day and be like, okay, I get to do this every day. Something that brings you pride and joy on what you do. It's about, if you're creative and you like math, like try to leverage that and try a lot of things. Because I thought I wanted to be a designer in aerospace. I started working in it. I didn't like it. I hated every second of it. It was very boring. And then I went to the production floor and I fell in love with processes. And then I landed here by accident. So try a lot of things and find your rhythm and what your passion, because it changes. You might think it's one, but maybe it's another one.
Thank you. That's inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
I completely agree with Mira. Like um, when I was in graduate school, I studied land snails, like literally snails. So it's one of those things where that's not going to necessarily come up a whole lot in oil and gas, but I had the opportunity to get an internship. So I went into that kind of environment working in a corporate organization, and I loved it. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I also really enjoyed working on the biology and the ecology that I was doing in graduate school. And what I learned was that so long as I understood and was able to apply the basic geologic principles, and I'm sure that Mira would feel the same about the engineering principles that she's very familiar with, that you can do anything. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be that you were trained in a certain thing or that you had an extensive background in something. If you know how something should work based on what the basic principles are, then you can make that work for pretty much any kind of problem that you apply yourself to.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I feel like engineering is like Disneyland for adults. You get to cut stuff, change, open. You get to imagine, you get to see it, and then you do it and it's there. Like it's so satisfying to see something like I work on this. Like I did it. You go to a store and you see it. So yeah, any engineering will take you to a path.
Exactly. I agree. I have an engineering class actually in my lab. I do engineering and advanced manufacturing. So again, you guys, your careers are amazing, by the way. But for teens who might not know what they want to do yet, what's a cutting edge career you think they might not even know exists? Mira, sorry.
PWB. I didn't know it existed. I thought it was little tiny cities inside of our computers, and I had no idea how they work. And it involves so much chemistry and electricity and mechanics of it. And it's so fun. It's so creative. I love doing arts and crafts. And sometimes my nephew's like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I'm like, "I play connect dots all day." That's pretty much what I do. I solve puzzles. And maybe you don't see it like that because it's like, oh, it's a very engineering thing that you're doing. But once you kind of dumb it down, and like I like to take my approach as a kid, as I'm new and I'm wondering and I'm trying to see how it works. Like when you're playing with Legos and you're kids. So I will say trust your instinct. PWB, it's great if you like puzzles and if you like creativity, that's a great spot. And it's a career that has a lot of opportunity of growth. I don't know what happened with the industry, but a lot of the older generation did it, and then between 30, 40, 50s, no one did it. So right now we're requiring a lot of people that do it.
Wow.
Well, I have to say that I cheated and I looked up what the cutting edge sort of careers are for right now. And the projected growth for 2023 to 2033, top of the list were wind turbine engineer and photovoltaic installer. So two very distinct but very applicable energy source related jobs. And I work, Aramco is an energy company. We have offices all over the world. And I work in Houston, which is our headquarters in the United States. But we have labs in Detroit and Boston as well. And we employ people that are chemists. We have people who do robotics. We have people who are data scientists, software engineers, modelers, you name it. We probably have somebody who does that kind of job. And so I would not be surprised if we have somewhere in the world, we have wind turbine engineers and photovoltaic installers. So if you can dream it, there's a lot out there that you may not know about. So, and I think the really important thing is just to be curious about that kind of stuff. If somebody said, you know, you don't look like an engineer like Mira was told, like try and prove them wrong.
And photovoltaic, if I'm not mistaken, is solar power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. I didn't know. I mean, I knew that was a career, but that is cutting edge.
It is,
So,
and they're projected to need a lot of those people as soon as solar starts to take off.
yes, I agree. Okay, so next question. What's the best no fluff advice you can give our audience for college applications or choosing a major? Mira.
You put me on the spot, Hilaria. That's a very hard question, actually. I think one, you need to bring yourself. That's going to be the most important. Don't try to cheat on yourself and try to fit something that other people want you to fit. Like really go for it and try different things. Because as I said before, sometimes you think that you like something, but you actually don't. And always try to bring yourself to the table. You know you best.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, I mean, I always thought that it was helpful, at least when I was picking colleges, to visit the college before you apply there, because you really need to go get the vibe about what that campus is about. And you may sort of jive with the students who are there and the way that the campus sort of organizes itself in certain places versus others. So it's important to have that sort of understanding when you go into making the application process. And then as far as the application itself, writing about what you know is always helpful. A lot of times what those essays are about are what your story is and what you hope to get out of the college experience. And so writing from your background and not what you think that the reviewers want to hear is always, I think, a good place to start from. And then as far as majors go, I'm not sure if, there are colleges out there that make you pick as soon as you start freshman year, but if you have the opportunity to pick and just have it temporarily be general studies so you can try a whole bunch of different stuff and find out what you like and what you don't like, that I think is probably the way to go, just because that way you're not necessarily committed to a certain discipline and then find out later down the road, when you're a junior, that you're like, you know what, I really thought that I wanted to be a biologist and I just don't. And there's ways to come back from that, of course, but at the same time, like exploring that, college is the time to explore lots of different things. And I would love to have an opportunity to learn about stuff like I did back then. And so that's what I would encourage people to do.
Fantastic. Okay, this is the last question for the panelists. Can you share a story about a challenge you faced in your career and how you overcame it? This time, we're going to switch up the order. And Meredith, if you would go first, please.
Well, I mentioned that what I worked on in graduate school was snails. And so one of the things that always came up when I was interviewing for jobs was, what are you going to use this for if you're working for an energy company? And so, and it was a fair question. Like, it was one of those things where it was not immediately obvious to the people that I was interviewing with that it was applicable. And I said, well, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the fact that I work on, snails, yes, but what I actually do is work on paleo environments, so ancient climates, the way that people used to live back in before the Sahara was the Sahara Desert. I worked on snails from Algeria and looking at the chemistry of their shells and how that can give us information about what environments were like in the past and how potentially we can use information like that to predict what environments might be like in the future. And so those are the kinds of basic principles that I was mentioning before, that if you have that kind of information, you can apply that to any type of job that you might end up in. And so maybe I wasn't working on snails per se, but we work on ancient environments all the time in geology, and the kind of geology and the people that I help with problems in my day job. And so it's one of those things where you may just have to think of a different spin for what it is that you do. And you don't necessarily have to, talk it up or anything. It's just that you need to know how to present yourself in the best light. And for me, that was not necessarily focusing on the actual mechanics of what I was doing, but what the implications of it were.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mira?
So I started as a manufacturing engineer. And I got married and moved here to the States, and I just wanted to work. I applied to any job under the sun because I just needed an income, and it was COVID times. So I got a position as a test equipment planner, which I was very overqualified to do because it was very mundane things. I was dragging equipment and doing inventory and doing all these sorts of things. And when I was doing this, I met a lady. She was the manager of the team that I'm on now, and she asked me for help with some IT stuff, which I have no idea about, but I help her because I do have this yes can do mentality. And she was like, "You're very nice. We have an opening. Do you want to apply?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm not qualified." She told me to just do your resume, send it to me. You seem like you're qualified. I didn't send the resume for like 2 weeks because I was convinced that I was not qualified for the job. So she told me, let me decide if you're qualified or not. Just let me do it. As Meredith was saying, I ended up being qualified because even though I was not working specifically what I was told to do, I had notion of it and I've already worked on it before. I had design experience. I have manufacturing experience. I've worked with chips before. I know the electronics of it. So trust yourself. That's the best advice I can. Trust that you know. And sometimes when you don't, trust that you actually do know. Try to kind of lie to you.
Yeah, tell the imposter syndrome to go away.
Yeah. And remember the imposter syndrome, it's a bad thing, but if you have it, I've never met someone that has it and it's not really good. Usually the ones that are like, yes, I can do it. Those are the ones that have no idea what they're doing.
Truth.
So
Truth.
imposter syndrome, it's a kind of a gray area. If you have it, you're going to the right path.
It's nice to have that gut check to make sure you're just like, do I know what I'm doing? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Kind of know.
Kind of, but mostly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I do. I really do. Okay, so now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the event, the open Q&A. So this is your chance to ask anything. Please use the chat to submit your questions, and I will do my best to get them answered live. Remember, there is no single right path to a cool career. So please feel free to ask about personal journeys, advice, or anything else on your mind. While you guys in the chat are typing, I'll ask a couple more questions of our panelists. So we did talk, Meredith, you did talk about some of the misunderstandings about your challenges that you had to overcome when you're in your career. So if we can get a bit broader of that, what do you think the biggest misunderstanding about STEM and tech careers are? We can start with you too.
I think that probably the biggest misunderstanding is that these are all sort of hard science. Like these are all people who work in labs with lab coats and need to use calculus every day. And I think that people assume that there's a type of person that does that kind of job. And there really isn't. Like there are people who from all walks of life who work in STEM fields and STEAM fields, because I would argue that the arts are important as well. And so it's one of those things where whatever preconception you may have about what a certain career is like or what you might have to do to get into a career like that, there's a lot more avenues into that particular, those types of fields. And really having a diversity of people and different perspectives and different backgrounds makes things like technology and innovation so much more valuable and a lot more robust. When you have all those different components come together. Because if everyone sort of thinks the same way, and you're going to end up with the same product over and over and over again. So when you have people who have different thoughts about ways this thing should be done or processes or workflows and things like that, you can end up with a lot more viable solutions to problems that you're trying to solve.
Wow. Thank you. Mira?
Yeah, I think Meredith nailed it just in the head. There's a lot of preconceived notions of what a STEM person looks like. And if you look different or you don't fit in the box, you're kind of like, oh, probably you're not good enough, probably you're not smart enough. That it has nothing to do with it. Your perspective, it's really important. There's so many ways to look at a problem, and we come from some different backgrounds that sometimes for other people can be like, oh, there's no solution. And you're like, hey, have you thought about this? Which can be a little bit out of the box, and it's exactly what everyone needed. So your voice matters.
I agree with that. I really do. We have a question from Michael Wells. With the quickly changing state of the world and with how many jobs are being replaced with artificial intelligence seemingly overnight, I've been looking into blue collar work, such as firefighting. Do you have any options or info on alternative non college related routes?
I will say that I love the trades. Like if you want to go to trade school, air conditioning repair, plumbing, you name it, those are all practical skills that you can apply to pretty much anything. So if you are leaning that direction, I would say go for it. It's one of those things where, the college experience that I found it valuable, but it's not for everyone. And while I think that artificial intelligence definitely has its role in some of the applications that it's being used in, you always kind of need a person to um, fill in the gap because the answer you get is only as smart as the question was. And if the question was sort of dumb, then you're going to get a dumb answer. And that's kind of my experience with AI at this point. It's definitely has its uses, but they're fairly limited, at least within the work that I do. So, but if you're looking for, that kind of job where you can get in and definitely just start immediately after you go to school working and not necessarily have to go to continuing education. I think that that's just as valid as any other college career path.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Me too.
So another question. This one is from Andrea Parrott. I hope I said that right. Are there people who work closely with you who didn't get a college degree in a STEM field?
Yes. My company, especially my department, it's filled with people that didn't go to college. Actually, the new generation of designers, we are coming with engineering degrees, but before that, it was all empirical knowledge. And the fact that you don't have an engineering degree doesn't mean that you cannot be super smart and love science. Like that, a degree has nothing to do with your abilities and your capabilities. And as we said before, everyone brings something different to the table. Right now, it's a little bit more complicated to get into jobs if you don't have a degree, because that now it's a requirement with the evolving of everything. But you can certainly do a lot of things without one.
Mm-hmm. I would completely agree. I mean, I work with people who came right out of high school and worked in the clinic, the medical clinic um, at Aramco, and now they're like the manager of business support. They don't have a business degree, but they have learned over the years that they can, they have the aptitude to be able to work on contracts, work on processes, things of that nature, get things paid on time, that kind of stuff. So it doesn't necessarily, the degree is not as important as I would say the interest in just doing the thing. So if you're just show a willingness to learn and be taught, and especially learn how to listen, that can get you really far without even having to worry about the degree part of it.
Yeah, coming back to AI, the human aspect is something AI can do. So also try to grow your soft skills as long as your hard skills. Soft skills are very important, especially on this day and age where we are relying so much on our phones and computers, and we lose that human connection.
Yes, yes. So again, we've heard your careers. We've heard that they are amazing. My question is, why should our team leaders consider working at your company?
I would say that, like I mentioned before, we have pretty much every kind of career at Aramco that you can possibly think of. There are people who have jobs that I didn't know existed before I worked at Aramco. And so it's one of those things where there's a lot of mobility within the company as well. So like you have the opportunity, should you want to take it, to work in different locations, work with different people. We have a lot of collaborative groups. So you may work with, like, for example, for this event, I was working with our folks in public affairs, who are just right down the hall from me. And on the other side is finance. So there's a big opportunity to have that kind of intermingling of different kinds of disciplines.
Yeah, Qualcomm is pretty similar. It's a pretty big company. We have the way it's designed, it's kind of like campuses, like colleges, and we are you will go to the cafeteria and you will see people playing soccer or playing football on like it's very collegey, if you will. There's a lot of experience. The people here have worked here 30, 40 years and have seen it all. We also work with the very extreme of the technology because we're always trying to push the boundaries and bringing up different projects, make it faster, make it better. So that's very exciting because everything is moving. You're not going to see the same thing every day. Every time that I work in a project, the project is different. We are very connected with other teams and the culture is really great. I've never felt more supported and encouraged to be myself and to push my limits as I done it here. We have a very big Latin community, a very big Black community, a very big, you name it, we have it all. And it's very rooted on who we are as a company. And I really love the aspect of the diversity of it all.
That is amazing. So, piggyback on that question, do your companies offer internships to high school or college students? This question came from Katie Amin.
For us, it's both. We have both summer students and we have undergraduate and graduate interns. So it sort of depends on what the roles that are being offered on any given year. But we have students who come in just to learn what being in a corporate environment is like. We have sponsored students from Saudi Arabia who are going to work in a certain part of the company when they get out of school. So they'll come experience, what it's like to work in Detroit, what it's like to work in Houston. And then we have graduate students who are already well within to the degree that they're pursuing, if they're a geoscientist, engineer, data scientist, whatever those things might be. And they're coming to work on a specific project with a specific team. And so it sort of just depends on when you would want to start. Some people start early and some people will come in at the graduate level.
Yeah, the STEM host actually put a link to the Qualcomm company career internships and early career. We also have that. We have it every summer where we have a bunch of interns running around and they do their capstone projects. They put donuts and drinks and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a party where they show what they've been working on. It's pretty fun and it's pretty nice to see their development, and a lot of people, they get offered jobs. So it's very cute to see them as interns working with them, and then they're your peers.
Yes, that's amazing. So once our teen leaders do get their first internships, maybe at Alquam or Qualcomm or Aramco, do you have any advice for them to get the most out of the experience?
I would say definitely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're good.
No, please go.
Okay, I would say if you're not set up with a mentor, then definitely seek out someone who can be a mentor for you. It can be a peer mentor, like someone who may have had in their second internship, perhaps, because there are sometimes repeat people. But look for those people who are willing to help, because if you find the helpers, that's going to make your life a whole lot easier, because it's going to be drinking from a fire hose, at least it was for me for a long time. And so if you're trying to break down the tasks into bite-sized pieces, it's always helpful to have somebody who can say, okay, this is what you should start with, and then this is what you should move to. And so that can make things a whole lot less overwhelming when you get started, because you are only going to have 3 months, maybe even less, to finalize your project and present it. So you need to have a really sort of firm path to go down in order to accomplish that. And anybody that you can recruit to help you with that is going to be to your advantage.
I agree.
And most of the time, we're eager to help you. People, I think that there's like a conceived notion that when you're starting internship, you gotta be professional, you gotta like play the part, and you're all stressed and you're all emotional because you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to make the best impression possible. Life is a safe space, okay? First of all, life is a safe space. No one knows what they're doing at any, like, it's our first time living life of all of us. Either you're 70, 80, 90, 20, 25, 30. It's our first time living life. So seek help, ask questions, don't be afraid. We're literally all here to help you, and we want to see you grow. There's gonna be
It's
people
okay to
that
mess
know, but
up.
then yeah, it's okay. We're not
Yeah,
expecting you to know what you're doing. We're here to teach you.
we mess up all the time. Like, that's the secret. I'll let
Yeah,
everyone on this call know we mess up all the time. And just if you own the mess up and then you work to make it better, it'll be fine.
it's
It's all good.
not 90% of the battle you haven't won.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is from Katie Dion. Do you have any advice about what elective classes to take in high school, activities to do, or habits to learn that will help students have a career like yours in the future?
Well, if you want the complete truth, learn about balance. Learn about balance in your life. Learn about your hobbies and nurture them and hold on to them. Because life is hard, work is hard, but you also need to have this work-life balance that sometimes I have to admit that I didn't learn it until sometimes I feel like I'm not there yet because I tend to be an workaholic and I tend to lean onto that. So try to learn balance. Try to learn a schedule that works for you for your pace where you can have your classes, do your homework, and but also do other things. Learn about perfection does not exist, and it's really hard and it's very tiring to always be pursuing the next thing. So you gotta also recognize that you're doing amazing. And sometimes you can do more, but sometimes you also need to be like, I'm doing a great job. And that's okay.
Yeah, celebrate those wins. Like, if you're, really committed to softball, don't drop softball just because you think that you need to pick up another elective or something like that. That kind of stuff's important. And like, if it's important to you, then it's valuable enough to keep. I would also say that one of the best skills that you can develop, uh, either now or in the future, I don't think there's any sort of timeline about when you can learn it, is public speaking. If you can get up in front of people and talk about anything, like what you do, a project you're working on, you're presenting something to your team, you're talking to a big group, you're talking to a small group, that kind of stuff. Speech and debate, I think, probably would be the closest equivalent in high school. Those are uncomfortable classes. I know, I get it, but at the same time, those skills are so valuable. If you can get over the hump of what it's like to speak and articulate in front of people, that will do you so many favors. Because I work with people now who struggle with that, and they, or have 30-year careers. And it's one of the most valuable skills that I think you can learn. And it's one of those soft skills that they don't teach that often. But in high school, you have that opportunity. Be in theater, be in anything that involves in being in front of people. Because I think you'll really get a lot out of it later on.
Yes, especially public speaking. I do believe that one is great advice. It's a good soft skill for everyone to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you personally find career inspiration in your hobbies or interests, such as ballet or improv?
Well, I feel like science is all over the place. Like even when I do ballet, I have to be concentrated on my center of gravity, don't lose the axis, the forces that are involving. So I think, and I tend to do this all the time. Like I think about stuff in particles. Like I'm thinking about the little tiny things that are always moving and they're creating heat, and that's why I'm like I tend to do that all the time. I see it everywhere.
And I have to, the confession is that I was in ballet for 20 years. So I totally get what Mira's talking about. But I would also say that when you keep with those different kinds of hobbies, you interact with different people that you wouldn't necessarily interact with. So with improv, for example, in a troupe with all professional women, we have somebody who was an ex-marketing CEO. We have somebody who's a geographer. We have someone who is a lawyer. So there's a lot of different kinds of people that you can meet, and they all have valuable perspectives that you can, implement in your life. They may have an interesting way of doing something that you never thought of before. And so I think that there's a lot of value in just interacting with people who don't do the same thing that you do. I love my geology friends for sure, to the moon and back, but dealing with other people is sometimes really refreshing.
Also, when you are younger, you are kind of told that if you're different, you're weird, like you don't belong. And the more you grow up, you start seeing how much more amazing it is to be different and to learn about people that are different and how much they bring to the table. Like it really shifts.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I do the same thing. I do Boy Scouts, and so a lot of that is like the law is trustworthy, honest, loyalty. It's just all the things that you can have in your hobbies. You can implement them all over your entire life, and it improves it.
Totally.
So another question. This may be the last one, but can you share more about a STEM role model who influenced your career over the years? How have they shaped how you show up as a role model yourself now today?
Man,
I
that's a
have
tough one because
I
there's
have
so many
two.
people. You have two? Okay, you go first.
I have two. The first time, my first boss, he called me to his office and I thought I was in the biggest trouble I've ever been. And he told me, I just want to let you know that you're doing great and I don't want you to change. And I caught me by surprise. He's like, you're always wearing flowers and you were always wearing pink. And I don't think you need to change that. I don't need to change who you are to blend in with the crowd. You can be loud and funny and pink and crazy and you can still do an amazing job. So I don't want you to change that. And I really took that to heart because I felt like I someone was giving me permission to be myself and continue to doing great while being myself and not changing anything. And the other person, she's my mentor here at Qualcomm. She is Fatima. She's a director of engineering. And the first time I saw her, I felt like a little kid. She was wearing pink heels, a beautiful blazer, long hair, and she was a director of engineering. She was talking about female empowerment, and I wanted to cry because I never saw someone that looked like myself or that someone that like I wanted to be like her, and she was right there in front of me. So for me, that was so powerful because I was like, I can do it. There's no doubt I can do it. I'm seeing it right now. So
I would say that probably the person who gave me my very first internship, he was the VP of geology at a very small company that doesn't exist anymore. But he was one of those types of people who saw things in people that maybe other people didn't see. And so being able to be given the opportunity just to prove myself by them extending the internship in the first place really sort of set my career path on the trajectory that it's currently on. And so I'm very grateful to him for being willing to give me the chance because I didn't go to a school where oil and gas was, or energy, or any kind of things like that were something that people did. I was doing something outside the norm. And so for someone to take a chance on someone from an institution like that was a gamble on their part, if we're honest. And so ultimately it worked out. So I guess I proved him right ultimately that it was worthwhile to give me that opportunity, but you still have to have that person in your corner who's like, you can do this. You don't act, you're not trusting that you can, but you can do it.
That's fantastic. And this is the very last question for you guys. If you could go back to when you were, my age, 17, and you could give yourself one piece of advice or inspiration, what would it be?
Do your homework. Like, pay attention to school. Like, really do it. Because I was definitely silly goosing. And now I'm like, I could have been so much better at school. But it's important to live as well. So
And I wish that I would have lived a little more. Like I was in a program that it was expected that when you got into college, you had sophomore standing because all we did was take tests. We were expected to have, community service hours. We had to have all these sort of check the boxes things. And I feel like I maybe gave up some things about like having the high school experience, like that potentially I could have gotten more out of that had I not been like, oh no, I have to do all these things. Otherwise, I'll never get into college. You'll get into college. You'll absolutely get into college. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. You don't need a 4.0. You can do it with a 3. Like it's one of those things where take the pressure off because the only one who's putting it on you is you, and the only one who can take it away is you. So it's one of those things where you kind of just have to say like, you know what, this is good enough.
Thank you so much, especially to our incredible panelists for sharing your stories and advice. And a huge thank you to all the teens who joined us today. I hope you've discovered some awesome jobs, gotten some real advice, and found some inspiration for your future. Remember, this is your chance to get the answers you need to plan your future. We hope to see you at the next Future STEM Next event. And have a great evening, everyone.
bye, everyone.